Hey guys, it's Weldon here from Pacific Coast Auto, and we are in Japan taking a look at an FC RX-7. This one here is a 1990 late model version with the turbocharged 13B engine. This one has a number of modifications to it, including aftermarket large turbo, 104,120 kilometers. This one was bought from auction here in Japan and is going to be exported to the USA. Okay, so first off, taking a look at the engine. Coolant level is fine, oil level is fine, and then the oil condition looks like it is nice and clean and delicious, but don't actually eat it because it's not delicious. It's delicious for the car and not for humans. In terms of modifications, you can take a look at big turbo down there, and it's a brand Night Sports, and I looked up the specs on that turbo, and people are getting between 300 and 450 wheel horsepower on that turbo, depending on how much boost that you have. And so there's a boost controller in the car right now, and I have driven this one, and it puts out only 0.5 bar boost, which is 7 psi, and so that's stock. And the stock engine for the late model versions is 205 horsepower, or 205 PS, and then the early ones are 185. And so it's nice to have the extra horsepower of the late model versions. Okay, I got the headlights up because headlights are awesome. Retractable headlights for life, completely. Gonna lower the hood here. I suppose I'll mention a couple of other things. There is this one here checks your temperature of your coolant. There's aftermarket air filter. Big aftermarket piping here to move the intercooler. Typically the intercooler goes right here, like right behind the alternator, and it sits on top of the engine. And then there's a hood scoop to feed the intercooler fresh air. This one's been moved over to a front mount. So you can see in there the front mount intercooler. So you get a larger intercooler with a front mount, and you get more direct airflow with a front mount, and then you don't have to deal with the heat soak of having the intercooler right on top of the engine, because the purpose of an intercooler is to cool the air, not to heat it up. But you do get fairly long piping in order to get to there, and so there's plus and minus for going with piping that long. And it looks like it's been custom welded and painted black. Okay, so you can hear the bearing sound. It's not an engine bearing because these engines don't have engine bearings. Bearing from either this or one of these two. And then the AC has been removed. It would typically go down there, but it is not on the car. I'm going to close the hood here, and it's an aluminum hood on this. I believe these late model ones might even have aluminum doors. I don't know. Somebody let me know if you know that. Okay, push that in. Show the car with the retractable headlights. So the FC is a great looking car. I absolutely love the way that these look, and over time they're starting to look better and better. I'm going to go over the auction sheet here, then we'll go once around the vehicle, and then I'll go to the interior. First off, I'm going to translate this, and compared to the regular auction sheet, this has a lot more notes because of the modifications to it, as well as it's got more damage. I mean, it's an old car, so it has old car damage basically. The vehicle is actually not that bad for the age. Okay, so it's a 1990 model, Savannah RX-7, that's just the branding that they gave it here in Japan. GTX model, and so the GTX is the late model ones, the ones that you want for the extra power. Rotary engine, auction grade R because it's been in a front end accident. And the front end accident required the replacement of the hood, both fenders, as well these ones here. Core support and front cross member replaced, left and right front inner panel dented, and left and right front side members dented. And so these areas here have been repaired from an accident. Okay, it wasn't original white, it was originally black if you look in the engine room, but the seller didn't say, they just say it was color changed to white. 104,120 kilometers, so relatively low, and then the engine running condition seems to be pretty good. Okay, looking at here, it says various aftermarket parts on the car, and then it doesn't come with a stock replacements, and so you're going to have to look at the car in person if you want to have details on what has been modified. The Night Sports high flow turbo on there, front mount intercooler, aftermarket computer, and extra gauges to go along with that. Front pipe, straight through exhaust, that's why it's so loud, and strengthened LSD. This is basically a drift LSD. If you turn the wheel all the way and you start driving, then your back differential is going to lock. just because that's the way race cars are. And if you don't like that, you're gonna have to change it out. But a lot of people do that modification on purpose so that they can race better. And so it's suitable for drifting or for racing using a part like that. Okay, the AC has been removed and the vents pieces are broken. Aftermarket steering wheel, driver's seat is ripped and then has like tape to fix it. Various scratches, dents, paint wave, cigarette burn hole on the interior. Rear spoiler, paint cracked, underside surface rust, and a floor side member scratched and dented. And then if you look at the diagram here, the body's actually really clean on both sides. There's paint peeling on the roof. Not mentioned here, there's a little bit of paint peeling on this back fender. Front bumper, it says scuff, paint cracks, and then paint peeling, rock chip on the windshield. That's usually nothing to worry about. And yeah, not mentioned on here, the two front fenders that have been replaced have some pretty bad paint bubbling. And then spare tire's been removed. Okay, so let's do the once around here. Sorry that took too long. That's more time than usual for the translation. Okay, I don't know the name of the wheels on this one, but I would like to know. So if anyone does know, let me know, because they look pretty good. They're very 1990s look. Let's give you a quick look at what those look like. Because of white car and dark day, it turned the video darker than they usually are, and so that kind of sucks. Take a look at the back end here. The late model ones get circular tail lights, and so that looks way better in my opinion. And then nice big loud exhaust. I'm coming through with my rotary engine. And for those who don't like the rotary engine, I don't understand you. As much as you don't like it, I think it's lovely. Okay. And so it's cool seeing the car with basically a stock body in white, especially it looks clean. And then because of Initial D, people love these cars. Strangely, they don't rust as bad as the 8.6 does. You can see the aftermarket carbon fiber front lip, looks pretty nice. And then looking at the front, the panels all line up pretty well, I would say, but this front gap seems to be a little bit bigger than it should be. Retractable headlights work up and down, no problems there. So looking at the defects, we got paint cracks here and some peeling down in here. The headlights are actually warm to the touch, like a foot away from the headlight or 30 centimeters away. And then a big paint crack along here. This is where the plate goes. It's been modified to fit on the side so that you can get all the air going into the intercooler there. This one here hasn't been blocked off, but if you want to go super fast, you're going to have to block that off for aero purposes. I suppose it might be okay to have more air going into the engine room, but you can do the old school thing of propping up your hinges here to let the air go out. Okay, so peeling paint on the roof here and here. And then there's fade on this section here. And that's not part of the glass. There's a full glass, like the entire hatch that lifts up is all glass, except for the runner along it here is made out of metal. But it is a very cool design with the curvy glass like that. I do like it very much. And then the stock rear spoiler there. So the cracks here, as was mentioned on the auction sheet. Not mentioned was the fade here, and so the spoiler is faded, probably needs to be repainted. Listen to that exhaust. It's straight through exhaust. And in case you don't know, if you have an RX-7, don't turn the engine off when it's cold, because most of the time it'll be okay, but if your car suffers from low compression, then it's going to have trouble starting again. It has a small bubble right here of what looks like is probably rust underneath there. Because 1990, this is 91? That makes this a pretty old car. And so rust usually comes sooner than it did on this car. All around it looks to be pretty good. Okay, so let's look at a side shot here. And so good fitment of the wheels. Kind of box flare style over the fenders, M3 like or 994 like. Okay, these come stock with the dual exhaust. This one's been converted to a single. Let's just turn those headlights off as well. And what I love about this is you can have the headlights off with them still up. That's the way I like it. So that one there, turn the headlights off, and then this one here, headlights go down. And I guess I can show you what the headlights look like when they're down. I didn't push the hood in all the way, but the car doesn't look as good with the headlights down. And then that switch above is used for, so I showed you this one here puts the headlights up and down, or you can just turn the headlights on and they go up. So Mazda went as far as to put an extra switch in there just to put the headlights up if you wanted them to be up. Okay, door cards, nice. Power windows work, but the one on the passenger side is pretty slow. Might be like really dirty in the sill there, or maybe hasn't been used very much, or maybe the motor's getting a little bit tired. Okay, I like the interior of these, and I really like the way they drive. Except, I mean, this one's on really, really hard suspension in order to fit your very aggressive low down. And so that's too hard for me, but otherwise love the way that they feel. The steering feels good, the clutch feels good, the throttle feels good. Everything in an RX-7 feels really nice, and this goes for the FCs and the FDs that I've driven. And I haven't driven an early model much more than a few minutes on a lake when the lake was solid. Rip there, and a crack on the inside, basically all the way around. Okay, gauges look nice. I like how there's so many of them. I like old cars because they tend to have more gauges. Okay, dashboard section here, you can see the broken vent pieces. Modifications there with boost controller, and so let me just jump in so I can show you that. It sits very down low to the ground. Feels nice to sit in and drive. Okay, so this one here, it looks like it's a multi-gauge, and so you can set different things in it, but as stock it's set for your water temp. It says here water temp as well, but I don't understand what these buttons would be for if you can't put different settings into that. This is your boost controller, and so you can pop this out, and then you can turn this to set your boost to different levels. And right now it's set on bar 1 out of 12. And that it's manual, or you can set to high and you can set to low, so you can set your own presets for those two for whatever boost that you want. And so probably a good idea to get a professional to set those for you, because if you over boost then you can damage your engine. And this section here has been installed nicely with little hex screws, pretty nice. Aftermarket shift knob, ripped e-brake boot from too much. Yeah, drifting. Okay. Separation in the dashboard there, and this is loose. It can actually probably go up, and this one can go down. I think you should be able to fix that. Nice thing about RX-7s is a lot of the owners are very passionate about their cars, and so there's a lot of information about RX-7s online, and parts are still relatively easy to get for these. Okay, back seats. It's kind of funny having a back seat. This is the FD is the same way. Look how small that back seat is, and then like you sit right inside. It's basically like a rear bucket seat. Crazy. Oh, and this section down here has mold on it. Have a look in there. But it doesn't smell like mold inside the car, and so I think wipe that down with alcohol and you should be fine. Okay. So we're gonna have to put the headlights back up. Boop. Company rules. And that's basically going to be it. So probably, I would guess somewhere around 320 wheel horsepower for this, which makes it significantly faster than the stock RX-7 once it's at the proper appropriate boost for the modifications done to it. And they're a lightweight rear wheel drive sports car with good handling and very, very fun to use engines. And so I think that this is going to be a good car once it has a little bit of hugs and kisses from the new owner in the States. Okay, so thank you very much for watching and have a nice day.